I've been building 7 and 8-figure businesses online in the health space since 2005, and I've helped thousands of other health practitioners do the same. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 hard pills to swallow if you want to build a successful online health business this year. All right, guys, welcome back. Uriel Kim here, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur, and let's dive right into this. If you're here, you want to build your business online, and I want to cut the fluff and cut to the chase that it's not going to be easy. But I think you understand that, right? Especially online, you don't have the luxury of a very, very important thing, which is called trust. When people walk into a brick and mortar, they're 80% sold. That is not going to happen online. So with that context, it's really important to remember that building an online health business is 1,000,000% worth it, but it's also very, very challenging. And that's why most people don't succeed. And I want to be very clear about something. Posting on social media and hoping people work with you is not a business. So let's just call it what it is. So I'm going to share with you 7 hard truths here, 7 hard pills to swallow that might aggravate you. They might push some buttons, but that's okay because I'm here to help you change. I'm not here to give you a tissue. Okay, so the first hard pill to swallow is this. Execution really doesn't matter. A better idea does. I want to just give you an example of this. So early 2000s, Blockbuster was still a big deal. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I would walk to Blockbuster to, if you don't know what Blockbuster is, just search it. I would walk to Blockbuster on a Friday night, I'd pick a DVD off the shelf and I'd bring it home to watch. And at that time, there was another company called Netflix, who also had for years been doing something a little bit differently. So they had a mail order DVD process where you could request DVDs to be sent to your house. They'd send you a couple DVDs, you'd watch them, you send them back. Interesting, right? And then Netflix changed. Netflix decided to do something very, very different. They had a better idea. And while Blockbuster was busy executing and working really hard on an outdated old idea, Netflix had a better idea and completely annihilated them and the rest of the market. And I share this because there is an age-old debate around which is more important, ideas or execution. And I'll tell you this, execution is very important, like you have to take action, but execution has a ceiling. Because once you execute on an idea to the best possible way you can execute on it, you can't get any further results from it. The only thing that becomes exponential is a better idea. So in pretty much every case, like in people that I've worked with in businesses that I've helped over the years, you ask yourself, okay, well, why is it that this person has a funnel and this person has a funnel and this person's crushing it and this person's barely making any money? The difference largely comes down to the big idea, right? What's the interesting thing about this? What's new? What's novel? What's different? Because when you have a big idea, you can get away with mediocre execution, but as you improve the execution of an excellent idea, your business becomes astronomical on what's possible, while everyone else is struggling because they're trying to over-execute a shitty idea to begin with. A bad idea can be very, very costly. No matter how hard you execute, no matter how hard you work at it, you are not going to overcome a bad idea that no one wants. The second hard pill to swallow is that nobody cares about your credentials. So if you're a health professional, health practitioner, you went to school for a long time, amazing. That gave you the most important thing you need to succeed in business, which is expertise. Okay, let's not get that wrong. But think about this. The way I look at this is your credentials, the letters behind your name, simply give you the tokens to play the game. It's like going to the arcade and the person's like, here's your thing of tokens. You can now play the game called business, but that doesn't entitle you to win. It doesn't mean anyone gives a shit. It doesn't mean anyone's gonna work with you. No, you have the tokens, you put them in the arcade, and now you have to learn how to play the game. And this is probably the single biggest reason why most health practitioners really, really struggle when they try to build their business online. Because the delusion is when you have a brick and mortar, you can just sit back, people walk down the street, they're like, oh, cool, naturopath, I'll go in. And then people fall into your lap. That's never gonna happen online. The field of dreams, build it and they will come is not happening online. Don't spend your money on a website because no one's gonna see it. Don't buy business cards because no one cares. You don't need a fancy office because no one's coming to it, okay? You need to focus on what actually matters, which is learning how to play the game of business, which ideally, ultimately means you have to learn how to promote yourself, called marketing and sales. I wanna be very clear. You already are good enough to help people. Do not focus on the product. Do not over-obsess about getting your coaching program perfect before you start helping clients. Because if I were to give you a lineup of people who are ready to work with you, would you tell me, hold on, Yuri, I got to get my program built first. I want this all to be perfect? Probably not. Because if I were to send them to your brick and mortar, you would happily take them in and work with them one-on-one. So please, don't over-obsess on the product. And I say that because the product is the most important thing in the long term. But I preface this by saying you're already good enough to help people. You see, most people online, most of these marketers, they're half-baked. They're not actually good at what they do. And so they have to really obsess about creating a great product, but they don't. And so they overmarket, and then you go through their programs and they're shit, and then you have more skepticism because there's a lot of nonsense out there. Those guys should focus on product, 100%. You are a friggin' expert as it is. You're good enough as it is. Yes, you can build out your coaching program, your curriculum, but not right away, because if no one knows you exist, it doesn't matter how good you are. Obscurity is the biggest danger you're facing, and if you don't know how to become visible, which is the act of self-promotion, and if you don't like self-promotion, then you're not going to have a business. But Yuri, I want to spend all my time with my patients and clients. Cool. Have fun with the one client you have, because no one's coming in because they don't know you exist. So I totally understand you want to spend your time on the delivery. That's amazing. But don't expect that to be on day one. You have to earn the rights to actually have clients to deliver to. Well, I'm just going to sit on my laurels and word of mouth and referrals will take care of that. Great. And keep doing that. But please don't come crying when you're barely making any money and you have no control over your business. You have to get good enough at marketing so that when you do hire someone for marketing, internally, ideally, you actually know what's what. I don't do all the marketing in my business, but to be honest, the less I do in my business, the more I come back to doing all the marketing. This is marketing. You probably want to teach, you want to share your message, you want to put out content. Welcome to the world of self-promotion. Welcome to the world of marketing. That's what marketing is. But you can never do that if you don't build the infrastructure and the systems in your business to generate enough revenue where you can remove yourself out of those different areas so that you can come right back to the start and focus on marketing, which is doing what it is you want to do, which is sharing a message. Okay? So the letters behind your name do not entitle you to anything other than you starting to play the game with your expertise. Hard pill number 3 is the market does not reward effort, it rewards value. There's a lot of conversation in the entrepreneurial space around hard work and grind and hustle. And I do think there's some merit there. You have to work hard. Do not expect amazing things to happen by doing nothing. I want passive income. Well, you'll get a lot of passive income, and that passive income will be nothing if you expect everything for little to nothing to put in. But you have to understand, at least our approach, is when we work with our clients, there's this notion that they're coming in and they're working 50 to 80 hours a week, which right away is jump off a bridge. I'm fucking done doing that, okay? I spent 7 years doing that. I understand how it is. And so when we talk with them about our approach, sometimes they're like, well, this sounds like a lot of work. I'm like, hold on. 1 to 2 hours a day to build your dream is a lot of work? They're like, well, I already have a lot of stuff on my plate. Well, here's the thing I want you to understand is if you're looking at doing stuff, you have to understand what it is you're doing. Please understand what I'm talking about working hard or value as opposed to working hard. When you're putting in the work, my belief is that you should put the work in to build systems, assets, and skills, because these 3 things will help you buy back your time and create way more leverage in the future. So for instance, if you create a piece of content, like this video, for instance, this is an asset. An asset is something that's created once and it works for you forever. Now, if I created this video in a 24-hour Instagram story, it would be gone in 24 hours. That's why I don't do that, because I would not be too enamored with that process. I want to create stuff that lives forever. I have a very hard time, and this is why I cannot stand one-on-one conversations or one-on-one coaching, because it dies after that hour. Nothing's recorded, nothing's documented, nothing's leveraged. And it's a very, very inefficient way of building a business. If you're watching this and you're cranking out 50 to 80 hours a week in patient care, none of that stuff you're doing has any leverage. 0. You work, you get paid. You don't work, you don't get paid. You work and you work with a client, that 1-hour session evaporates into thin air once it's over. Most likely, right? You haven't created any kind of standard system around that. There's no way you can repurpose that conversation, obviously for HIPAA compliance reasons, etc. And it is a lose-lose game. That's not a business, that's a job. And if you purchased yourself a business, you purchased yourself a job. When I say purchase yourself a business, I mean purchase yourself a clinic, which is essentially a prison because you're paying 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50K a month at least, which is ridiculous. And now if you leave that, you're fucked. And it's just a lose-lose situation, okay? So here's the thing, is you have to work hard in moments of your life, for sure. But if you're gonna work hard, you have to work hard on the right things. Systems, assets, and skills. Skills you will have forever. If someone slaps you on the wrist and says, you can no longer practice in this state, you're like, cool, whatever. But you don't lose your skills of becoming the expert you are. When I came online in 2005, the Ontario Kinesiology Association said, Yuri, you cannot do this stuff online. And I said, cool. You see the CK, the certified kinesiologist behind my name? You can take this and shove it. I don't give a shit. Because you can take the letters behind my name, you can't take my skills. And to this day, I still have those skills. I'm very grateful for the knowledge and the years of education I went through to become that technical expert that I was. So skills, you'll always have those, but skills also on the business front. Like you have to learn the skills, as we just talked about, of marketing, sales, self-promotion, coaching, hard conversations, leadership, operations. There's a lot of skills you have to build over time. But you have to put in the work to build those skills because you will have them forever. And the more skills you have, the more money you'll make, okay? Skills pay the bills. Systems set you free. So systems, think of it as saves you serious time, energy, and money. So if you're going to put in the work to build a system, like for instance, in our business, we help our clients install a perfect client pipeline. It's the main engine that drives new client acquisition. That's a system that works 90% on autopilot for them. So we spend a couple days building all that out, and then it's done. Like right now, as I'm shooting this video, there are people coming through our perfect client pipeline. I've got no idea what's going on. I have no idea who they are. They're getting value. They're going through the process and potentially booking a call to speak with us. I'm like, if I go for a swim or if I go play tennis or I'm hanging out with my kids or I'm doing other stuff in the business, that is still working. That's a system. A business, in my perspective, it's a collection of systems that produces a profit for the owner, independent of the owner's involvement. So if you think of McDonald's, the person taking your order and flipping the burgers is not the owner of the McDonald's, most likely. The owner of the McDonald's probably is not even living there. They don't even live in the same city. They might be halfway across the world chilling on an island. Who knows? But they have a collection of systems and assets, perhaps in this case, the people who are running the business on their behalf. Okay? So I just wanted to kind of preface this conversation by understanding, like, if we're going to put in the work, we have to put in the work to build skills, systems, and assets, because these are all three things that give you more leverage and more bang for your buck. But here's the thing, is that it doesn't matter how hard you work. Like, you could be posting all day on social media, but if people are not getting value from that, it doesn't matter. In our lives, in the world, we get paid in direct proportion to the value we provide to the marketplace. So for instance, if I put out a lot of work and if I create a lot of work in these content, like in these videos, and I'm pumping out videos and I'm expecting the world to reward me with like money and clients, that's the whole, like, that's an entitlement. That's an entitled mindset, which is not going to help. My whole approach is like, the world doesn't owe me anything. It doesn't matter if I'm a #2 New York Times bestseller. It doesn't matter if I've done all this cool stuff in the past. Every single day I wake up, every single day that you wake up, you're starting from scratch. You have to earn your keep every single day. And value is in the eye of the beholder, just like art. So if you think what you're putting out there is awesome, but the market doesn't, it doesn't matter what you think. But the key is that you keep going. And you keep learning and you keep getting feedback and you keep course correcting. So you can look at, okay, for instance, for me on this channel, I look at some of the videos we put out and I'm like, obviously that video, most people didn't like it, right? It didn't get as many views. It kind of like flopped, but this one crushed it. We look at our social content. We're like, okay, well, these types of pieces of content do very, very well. Let's do more of that. They're more valuable. I don't need to necessarily work harder. I need to work on things that are more valuable. If we look at our ads, 10 ads we write, one of them works. Well, we do more of the one ad that works. So if we're going to put the work in, we're going to do the things that are more valuable in the eye of the marketplace. Okay, so please understand that the world and the market that you're in doesn't care how hard you work. It cares about the value you provide, and they're the ones who perceive that value. But the key here to remember is that by working hard and looking at data and getting feedback and constantly course correcting, you will inherently become more valuable to the people you're serving. Fourth hard pill to swallow is that most people fail not because of a lack of talent, but of a lack of consistency. So this kind of ties in with a little bit of what we just talked about. A big shot is a little shot who just kept on shooting. I'll consider myself a slow learner, maybe stubborn, making a lot of the same mistakes over and over again. And part of why I shoot these videos is for me to like, oh yeah, this is something we have to learn from. Let's not make that mistake again. But also hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. I also understand that words only warn, life experience teaches, but smart people learn from the mistakes of other people. So, whatever. So anyways, I think talents can grow with repetition. So if you look at Michael Jordan, he was cut from his high school basketball team. He barely made it into North Carolina. And he was not a great basketball player, according to most people, when he was that age. But he worked harder than anyone else. And this kind of goes back to what we just talked about, is he became more valuable by putting in the work. And consistency is more important than talent. So again, being consistent over and over again is what matters most. For instance, if I look at my first business, we grew our YouTube channel to 300,000 subscribers. And yeah, the content was really good. I put out a lot of videos, but when you look at the sheer number of videos, probably more than 1,500, I think the number of subscribers to video ratio is a little bit off. But the thing is, a lot of my clients were like, hey, you're so natural on video. I'm like, really? Did you see my first videos back in 2007? Not the same as they are now. Now, I've always enjoyed performing and I've always enjoyed speaking. So maybe I've got a little bit more of a propensity for that. But the reality is I've put in thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours. I've put in the consistent effort. And as a result of that, my talent on the video front has improved. So I understand when people say that, like, hey, you're a natural. I don't really believe most people are naturals. I'm sure yeah, okay, you can be more kinesthetic if you're a kid. You can pick up sports a bit more easily. Fine. But there is nothing worse, and this world is littered with talented people that no one knows about. A lot of smart health practitioners who live in a cubicle in a university doing their academic work that no one ever finds out about, or someone who's buried under admin work in their office, even while meanwhile they have this amazing process for solving major problems. No one knows about them, right? It doesn't matter, right? You have to be consistent, and maybe they were very, very consistent, but perhaps on the wrong things, right? Posting daily on social media, sending an email every single day, practicing your selling skills all the time, writing an ad, an email, content every single day. These are things you need to be consistent with if you want to succeed online. But Yuri, that sounds like a lot of work. It's not a lot of work in the grand scheme of things. It's 1 to 2 hours per day. So again, attach that to the ultimate goal of where you want to be. I don't know how long it's going to take you. It might take you 5 years, but isn't that worth it? It took me 7 years to make my first $1 million. Would I have wanted to do that if I knew it was going to take me 7 years? Probably not, but I'm happy I did because I've certainly created the life of my dreams as a result of the whole journey I've been through. And the only reason I'm still here is I've just been consistent. I've consistently showed up over and over and over again in spite of the hundreds of failures that I've had along the way. I'm not talented when it comes to business and marketing. I don't have this savant head intelligence. I'm an average person who, might be a little bit too smart for their own good in terms of getting in my own way. And I just kept at it. That's it, right? I can take on risk and volatility, and I'm willing to do certain things that maybe most people won't, but I just kept at it. I just kept going. And most people I know who succeed in business, they're very, very similar. They're not, I'll tell you this, the smartest people are very often the ones that slow themselves down the most because they think they're too cool for school. They think that they can figure things out on their own. Meanwhile, they get so pissed off when they see other people who are half as smart, who didn't even graduate college or go to college or dropped out of high school, and they're killing it in business and living the life of their dreams. And the reason for that is because they recognize that they don't have to be the smartest person in the room. They just have to surround themselves with those people or hire those people eventually to help them grow their businesses. So anyways, being consistent is more important than raw talents. Number 5, you don't need more information, you need more clarity. Ironically, clarity comes from having more information, but here's the thing, there's almost this tipping point where too much information causes confusion, and confusion is the complete opposite of clarity. And the thing is, no matter what it is you're looking to do, whether it's investing in a coaching program, going to school, moving across the world, whatever it is, you're never going to have all the information. Like when we purchased this house in Mexico, we actually didn't buy the house. We bought a plot of land that was not developed during COVID, and we purchased it over Zoom. We saw the architectural view, we saw the plot of land on a piece of paper. And we're like, this looks good, let's buy it. And then we worked with architects and we gave them an idea of kind of what we're looking for. We didn't know what it was gonna look like. We're like, here's some money. And then they built it or designed it. We're like, holy shit, this is incredible. And then 2 years later, the thing is fully built. And what's interesting is we still didn't have all the information, because now that we've been living in the house for, as of this video, a couple months, there are little things that we're noticing that we wouldn't even have thought about 2 years ago. For instance, like half of our house is outdoors, right? So we essentially live outside, and it typically doesn't rain in the winter here, but it was pouring rain for 3 days. I'm like, huh. So what was cool is that we got to experience what it would be like to be here in rainy season without being here in rainy season. And we were able to gather more information and thus clarity about what the house would act like, if you will, in those conditions. And we noticed a couple little things that needed to be tweaked. And that's the beautiful thing, is you will never have all the answers until you're on the inside. Okay, and just like, you have to come to terms with that. You're not gonna know every little granular detail before you start. And if you're waiting for that stuff, you never will. And this is why so many people lose out in life, is like they're waiting for all the details to be ironed out. I'm gonna get all my ducks in a row. Fuck your ducks, okay? You're never gonna have them in a row. They won't even be there when you're ready, like when you're supposedly ready. Like you have to understand, the worst case scenario is really not that bad. And it's just take the information that you have to the best of your ability. It should be enough to make a decision. And then always have the belief that you'll figure things out. You will. You always have. You will. But again, if you're not willing to do that, you don't have what it takes to be a business owner. And I hope you understand that. I'm never going to lie to you, and I will only ever tell you the truth. You have to be willing to deal with uncertainty. If you are not comfortable getting uncomfortable, do not start a business or stop your current business and go work for someone who can, because nothing else you learn is going to make any difference if every single time you get to the comfort zone, that kind of pain line, and you retreat. What's the point? Okay. So you need clarity, not information, not more information, or not more time. Clarity will come from information, but too much information will only confuse and paralyze you. Number 6, kind of piggybacking on this, is that if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. So if you value growth, then you have to be uncomfortable. Like our team, one of our core values is driven to grow. But what's interesting is I've noticed over time, growth in and of itself can be comfortable. Because what I've recognized a lot of people think of as growth is let me watch some videos and read some books. Okay, that's level 1 of growth. Here's level 2, is you deal with a client who is having a meltdown or is looking to, give up on their dreams. Can you have a hard conversation to hold the line with that client? For me, that's level 2 growth, where you get really uncomfortable. See, growth of I'm just gonna pick up a book and read, that's not growth because it's not uncomfortable. If it's uncomfortable, then you know you're growing. So if you're hesitating emailing someone or calling someone or having a conversation with someone, that's the growth you get to have. It's uncomfortable. You're looking to delay it for whatever reason. You're trying to avoid a feeling. But if you don't work through that, you don't grow. So please don't say I'm a growth-oriented individual because I've taken some courses and read some books. Congratulations. Awesome. Let's see how you deal with actual humans and real problems. That's where the growth occurs. And the funny thing about business is that all of your problems are going to be very uncomfortable. So again, if you don't want to be uncomfortable, that means you're not a growth-oriented individual, because if you were, you would seek being uncomfortable. You can't lay on the couch and be under your blankie and say, I'm a growth-oriented individual. Okay, a growth-oriented individual, and I'm just going to use this metaphorically speaking, is someone who's willing to sit in the cold plunge. It's fuck, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. It's someone who's willing to sit in that hot sauna and sweating their ass off. And again, I'm using that metaphorically. I'm not saying if you sit in a sauna, you're a growth-oriented individual. You understand what I'm saying? It's you're doing the thing that makes you feel uncomfortable. It's doing that extra couple reps in the workout, right? It's putting that one extra little minute or 5 minutes or 1 hour to do whatever you have to do to get the thing done. And all of us can be more comfortable and less comfortable in different areas of our life, right? Some of us are very comfortable doing work and uncomfortable in relationships. Cool. Maybe you can work on that, right? So don't seek comfort. Seek being comfortable with discomforts. And finally, the seventh hard pill to swallow is that no one's coming to save you. If you want to grow your business, that's on you. Everything that's going to happen that's good or bad is your fault. It's your responsibility to fix. And it doesn't mean that you can't build a team around you. I mean, we have an amazing team at Healthpreneur. And I also understand that I can't expect one person to come into my business and save me. But trust me, like when you hire people, it goes one of two ways. They are the best thing you have ever done or the worst thing. Like the right people will save you so much time. And when you hire them, you're like, oh my God, where has this person been my entire life? The wrong people, it's like, why doesn't this person get it? Why do I have to keep it? Like, what's going on here? And when you have those conversations to yourself, you know exactly what you have to do. Knowing what I know now, would I hire this person again? If it's not an immediate yes, that person's got to go. And any amount of delay you're dealing with that, right? All it's doing is compromising your business. For A players, B players, C players. A players, for sure, amazing. C players, they're pretty obvious, they're terrible, get rid of them. It's the B players that will kill you. And so being willing to tolerate that mediocrity is just that's what kills businesses and it kills our standards. So when I say no one's coming to save you, it's again, going back to what we talked about earlier, like learning the skill of marketing. You have to learn that. Please don't expect someone to kind of come in on a horse and whatever the friggin' saying is, you know what I'm talking about. They're not gonna come and save the business. But at the same time, as you build the skills and as you've been in the trenches yourself, you start to recognize what good looks like and what not so good looks like, and you can understand how to hire the right people. And you can bring people into your business that will legitimately help it grow. But at the end of the day, you are still responsible for the business. So if you make a hire and it doesn't work out well, don't blame them, blame yourself. I blame myself for everything that happens in the business. I'm like, I wasn't clear, I was too lenient, I didn't hold the standard high enough, I'm like, I fucked up. That's, whatever. They are who they are. Maybe they weren't a right fit for the culture, but it's on me. Because if we don't take responsibility, we can never learn. And if we don't learn, we keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So last year we hired 3 important leadership roles and we had to fire all of them. 4. And a lot of people could look at that as like, well, that sucks. That's a lot of money. That's you're going backwards. We still grew the business by 40%. But the problem was that obviously it would have gone faster with the right people in those seats. But the beautiful thing was that those things not working out gave us so much clarity about exactly what we needed in those roles. So I don't look at it as a bad thing. I look at it as like, thank you. Because now I know exactly what I don't want, what I do, and hopefully the next hire is going to be a much closer semblance for that thing. So no one's coming to save you. You have to take responsibility for everything you want in life. And at the same time, you can certainly surround yourself, and you should surround yourself with amazing people who will help you on that journey. But please don't expect to just sit back, learn nothing, don't build any skills, and expect to outsource everything in your business so you can enjoy passive income because everyone else is going to do everything for you. It's just not going to happen. Okay. So those are 7 hard pills to swallow. I'd love to know from you in the comments below which one really kind of struck a chord. Let me know below. If you've enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe to the channel. We've got hundreds of other videos on marketing, sales, mindset, business development to help you take your health expertise and turn it into a thriving online health coaching business. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you in the next one. So if you want to impact more lives, you want to make a lot more money without relying on insurance, and you want to live a much better quality of life, this is going to be for you. So sit tight. You want to grab a pen and paper. You're going to want to jot down some notes. I'm going to walk you through a few things on the iPad to give you a level of understanding of business in general that will probably be more valuable than pretty much any other video you've seen up until this point.